Marcus Webb had not slept in 3 days. Not because he was lazy, not because he was careless, but because the electricity in his apartment had been shut off 2 weeks ago, and the summer heat made the nights unbearable for a 7-year-old girl who needed her rest more than he did. He had fanned her with a folded newspaper until she finally drifted off each night, then sat in the dark, doing mental math that never added up. His wife had passed 14 months ago, quietly and too soon, leaving behind medical bills that towered over him, like walls he could not climb, and a little girl named Lily, who still sometimes called out for her mother in the middle of the night. Marcus had applied to 43 jobs in the past 5 months. He had heard back from 3. Today was his first real interview in over a year. A mid-level logistics coordinator position at Harmon & Associates, a firm with a glass tower downtown and a reputation for being selective. He had pressed his only good shirt the night before using a warm pan on the stovetop because he had no iron, and he had polished his shoes with a cloth until they caught light. He was ready. What he was not ready for was the school calling at 7 in the morning to say that the summer program had flooded and would be closed for the day. He had no one to call. No mother nearby, no neighbor he trusted. No backup plan that did not cost money he did not have. He looked at Lily eating her cereal across the table, her feet swinging beneath the chair, her eyes bright and unbothered by the weight of the world, and he made a decision that terrified him. He brought her with him. He explained on the bus ride over that she needed to be very quiet, very still and very good. Lily nodded with the seriousness of a child who understood more than she was supposed to. She wore her best dress, the yellow one with the white buttons, and she held a small stuffed rabbit named Theo against her chest like armor. They arrived at the Harmon & Associates building, and Marcus approached the reception desk with Lily's hand firmly in his jaw tight, prepared for the worst. The receptionist looked at them both, paused, and then smiled and asked Lily what her rabbit's name was. That was the first unexpected kindness. The second came from the HR coordinator who greeted them in the lobby and, without a word of judgment, found a quiet corner near her office with a chair and a small table, brought out a box of colored pencils and paper that seemed to appear from nowhere, and told Lily she could draw while her father had his meeting. Marcus sat across from the interview panel 10 minutes later with his heart hammering, and his hands steady, and he answered every question with the clarity of a man who had nothing left to lose and everything to fight for. He spoke about systems and supply chains and cost reduction with the kind of calm precision that comes not from confidence alone, but from desperation refined into focus. The interview lasted 40 minutes. When it ended and Marcus stepped back into the hallway, he found Lily not at her corner table but standing in the middle of the corridor, holding her drawings and speaking cheerfully to a tall, silver-haired woman in a tailored blazer, who was crouched down to Lily's eye level, completely absorbed in the conversation. Marcus rushed forward, apologies already forming on his lips. But the woman stood and extended her hand before he could speak. Her name was Eleanor Harmon. She was the founder and CEO of the company. She had been walking to a board meeting when a small girl in a yellow dress had held up a drawing of a rabbit and asked her if she liked art. Eleanor Harmon told Marcus that in 31 years of running her company, she had interviewed hundreds of people, and she had learned long ago that the truest measure of a person was not what they said in a conference room, but how they showed up when life gave them no good options. She said that a man who pressed his shirt with a pan, rehearsed his answers while fanning his daughter to sleep in a powerless apartment, and still walked into her building with his head high and his child's hand in his, was exactly the kind of person she had spent 3 decades trying to find. Marcus did not fully understand how she knew those details until the HR coordinator later admitted that Lily had talked quite a lot during the coloring session. He was offered the position that afternoon, with a start date, full benefits, and a salary that made him sit in his parked car for 20 minutes before he could drive. Lily asked him on the ride home why he was crying, and he told her it was because sometimes things work out, really work out, in ways you stopped letting yourself believe in. She nodded and held Theo a little tighter and said she knew, because she had prayed about it the night before. If this story reminded you that showing up with everything you have is always enough, please like, share, and subscribe to Kindness Corner Stories, where every story is a reminder that goodness is still everywhere. if you know where to look.